He was the voice of strength, and the fighter who turned pain into hits that went platinum. But not everyone knew about the fight going on behind the jelly rolls, tattoos, and victories. Not even his closest fans knew about it. Then, one moment backstage broke it all open, and what happened next shocked his whole team. There were warnings, but did anyone see them in time? Jelly Roll has been more than just a #1 act for years. He's been a sign of staying alive. His story is like a movie script. He went from being locked up to performing at the Grammys, honest, rough, and full of heart. That being said, voices can break when the weight is too much. And Jelly Roll has been carrying a much darker load behind closed doors than anyone thought. People who know the country rap star say that recent events have really shook him up. Fans cheered for Jelly Roll's sold-out shows and his big break into the mainstream, but he was quietly dealing with a personal problem. One that put his health, relationships, and even his will to keep going at risk, along with his job. It wasn't a big deal or a public breakdown. It was more human and deeper than that. Something that talks about the fights he's always talked about. Traumatic memories that never go away. Addiction and worry are all things that people have to deal with. He has hinted in comments that the bad times are coming back, but until now, no one knew how close he really was to the edge. People who know about it say it began with small changes. He missed calls, scrapped plans, and looked far away in his eyes. But then something happened in his personal life that changed everything. It made him face everything he thought he had mastered. People around him were scared, because it was so powerful. He did what he always does, though. Show his friends that you're brave. The mask is coming off, though. We are about to get into the terrible facts that Jelly Roll never meant to share. Find out what's really been going on behind the songs, the tours, and the attention. As the whole picture comes together, one question stays with us like smoke in the air. Will the person who got back up from the bottom make it through this fall? There was a time when he wasn't famous or on the Billboard lists. He was just Jason Deford, a kid from Nashville, Tennessee's Antioch neighborhood, where dreams didn't often come true, and second chances weren't given very often. Jason was born on December 4, 1984, and his early years were hard. He grew up in a working-class family, where his mother had schizophrenia and was addicted to drugs, and his father sold meat out of a truck to make money. His surroundings was rough, unstable, and not always kind. But in the middle of all that chaos, Jason, when he was young, found strange comfort in music, especially honest music. Rap music became a safe place for him. He liked artists like Tupac and 36 Mafia, who wore their pain like armor and made songs about their scars. He began to write rhymes and dream about bigger things, but the streets were calling him already. Jason's life had become a lot like the ones in the songs he loved by the time he was a youth. Crime and jail time. His first time in jail was when he was only 14 years old. By age 16, he had been in and out of juvenile hall. Not long after that, he was charged with a crime that would follow him for years. That would have been the end of the road for a lot of people. But he couldn't let something inside him go away quietly. Jason started to get better at writing while he was in jail. He wrote about how he felt in verses, writing songs in jail while daydreaming about a stage he hadn't seen yet. It was more than just therapy. I had to stay alive. And once he was free, he turned the name Jelly Roll, which his mother gave him when he was fat, into a brand of cruel honesty. He started to play at secret shows, sell mixtapes out of the trunk of his car, and work with other Southern rappers. It was a real grind. There are no managers or budgets, just raw ability and a strong will to succeed. His songs was about drug abuse, being poor, broken homes, and finding forgiveness, not as vague ideas, but as real-life events. The rest of the world began to notice over time, but things didn't go well right away. The public thought of Jelly Roll as just another underground act for many years. His tattoos, heavy build, and often emotional behavior didn't match the polished picture of him in pop culture. But that's what made him real, and that's why his fans became so devoted. They did more than just listen to his songs. They lived them. There was also change in Jelly Roll's life behind the scenes. He had a child when he was young, and that changed him more than any hit song ever could. He was able to keep going even when it seemed like everything was coming apart because of his daughter Bailey Ann. Later, he met podcaster and model Bunny So, who became not only his wife, but also his rock helping him through the worst times and making him believe in love again. Family became the most important thing to him, even as he went on tour and made a name for himself. Jelly Roll told his fans what was most important to him. He would leave behind his wife, children, and the goal of a better life than the one he came from. The fears never really went away, though. He has been honest about his ongoing struggles with drugs and mental health. He knows that even though his fame has grown, the pain has not gone away. His rise in country music was a surprise to everyone, even himself. But when he moved into the genre and mixed his honest words with twangy melodies and touching stories, it clicked. All of a sudden, a whole new group of people found Jelly Roll. They saw more than just an artist. They saw a man who had been through pain that most people try to avoid. His big breakout song, Lush, Son of a Sinner, showed how contradictory he was. A pull and push between faith and failure, between being saved and falling back into old habits. His fame went through the roof after that song, which earned him awards, TV performances, and even an emotional Grand Ole Opry debut. It was a full-circle moment for the kid from Antioch. It made him cry and made the room full of heroes quiet down. But the weight of his past never left him, even as his fame grew. Jelly Roll has said many times that he doesn't wish to be popular. He wants to make a difference. His goal is to be the voice that tells hurt people they're not alone, and that goal is good, but it costs a lot. There is more pressure going on behind the scenes. Every time he did well, he was given more duty and expectations. More nights would look at the ceiling and wonder if he was good enough, and those cracks have been showing up lately. People close to the family and who have worked with Jelly Roll for a long time have said that the weight of his past, present, and role as a husband, father, and public person is starting to catch up with him. Behind closed doors, fears of burnout and a quiet health scare have all added to the storm that is building up below the surface. People who know him best say something has changed. Even though he still smiles for the cameras and gives his all for his fans, he is pulling away more, thinking more deeply, and trying to figure out if he can really get away from the pain he has been writing about for decades. That's where Jelly Roll is now, and not just as a singer, as a man stuck between the life he ran away from and the life he's made for himself. He is a husband, a father, a fighter, and maybe more than ever, a person who wants peace but keeps getting pulled back into the fire by the world. The next part of his story has not yet been written. One thing is for sure though, the fight isn't over yet, and the next part could be the most important one yet. There had been rumors going around in Jelly Roll's camp for months, not from blogs or rags, but from people who know him well. His family, tour crew, and even his wife Bunny Zoe, had started to notice the signs. He wasn't sleeping at night. He was getting more and more tired, and there were times on stage when he seemed detached, not from the music, but from himself. There was a problem. Then there was the moment that shocked everyone close to him. A personal health issue just hours before a big event. Sources say that Jelly Roll passed out in his dressing room just before he went out to meet a huge crowd. 1 second the room was quiet, and the next it was a mess. The ambulances were called. His BP had gone through the roof. He looked pale and was shaking. It was hard for him to catch his breath. Fans were first told that it was because he was tired from the tour schedule. But people inside knew it wasn't true. It wasn't just being tired. It was a sign of danger. The things in his mind that he was too proud to say out loud were going through his body. He was getting tired. Doctors told him to rest right away, stop performing, and get a full checkup on his health. But Jelly Roll fought back, as he always does. He felt like he couldn't skip out on duty, because he had dates planned and friends waiting for him. It felt like breaking promises when shows were canceled. And one thing Jelly Roll has always tried to do is never let his people down. He knows what it's like to be caught off guard. Still, the truth was clear when no one was around. Years of stress, emotional stress, and fights with mental illness had worn them down. After beating addiction, the man was now up against a different kind of beast, the constant stress of keeping everyone else strong while he quietly falls apart. It wasn't just the fall, there were more warning signs. It's rare for a couple as open and united as Bunny and I to miss a podcast performance together, a short break from social media, a series of talks that were pushed back without giving a good reason. Fans started to notice that the man who used to write a lot online had stopped talking. Then they told the truth. It wasn't in a news release or a catchy headline. It was in a quiet live stream late at night. Jelly Roll talked to his fans as a man in pain, with only a dim lamp to light his face. He said, "I haven't been okay," and his voice cracked. "I thought I could handle everything, but I can't. I've been scared. I've been tired for too long and haven't paid attention to my own signs." He then talked about how hard it is to perform when you have anxiety and panic attacks. Not drugs, but emotional eating, being alone, and pushing himself to the point where his body gave out were some of the bad habits he had picked up again. Being honest wasn't the only thing that made the moment so powerful. It was how humble he was. At one point, Jelly Roll was facing prison walls and drug abuse. Now he was saying something maybe even harder, that he was a person who needed help. After that, his friends came together to support him. Lots of messages of love, support and understanding came in from all over the internet. Bunny, his wife, shared her own post with a raw message that said being strong doesn't mean always being okay. You need to know when to stop, heal, and ask for forgiveness. But after everything calmed down, a deeper truth came to light that shocked even his most devoted fans. Doctors had found that Jelly Roll was very likely to have long-term health problems if he didn't change his ways. Recent tests showed that the person had high blood pressure, long-term stress, and signs that their heart was under a lot of stress. The kinds of problems that could end a person's life too soon if they are not fixed. He had a choice. Do not put these problems off any longer. If you do not, you might not be able to finish the work he began. We had to pay attention to that wake-up call. Without making a sound, Jelly Roll started to rearrange everything. He dropped out of a few shows that were coming up. He changed his attention to healing on a physical, emotional, and spiritual level. He started working with a trainer and seeing a doctor again. He also started doing the spiritual things he had stopped doing when he was so successful. More importantly, he began to talk to his family, including Bunny and his daughter, about the fears he had kept hidden for years. The truth is that the pain never really goes away. It always finds somewhere new to hide. People who have been following him for a long time know that this isn't the first storm he's been through. But this one feels different. This isn't about getting back on track after failing. You can choose to live fully, even if you feel like you're breaking. That's what makes this part so strong. It's no longer just Jelly Roll who beat the odds and made it. He is the man on top of the mountain who looks back at the darkness and decides to move forward with clarity. Even though it's sad, this moment could be the most important in his life. He makes the choice to do something next that makes him feel bad, not because of the problem itself. Will he come back better, more focused, and with a clearer plan? Will he finally take charge of his health and put himself first? Or will the weight of what people expect from him push him back into the grind that almost turned everything around? There's no way to be sure. One thing is certain though. The story of Jelly Roll isn't over yet. It's still being written, one line at a time, with each loss and victory. The most important thing this chapter taught us is that even our heroes need to get better. As fans, all we can do now is wait and hope that the next time he performs, it's not just to please us, but because he really wants to be there, whole, healthy, and ready to start over. There may not be a Billboard list that shows Jelly Roll's biggest accomplishment. Instead, it may be the small ways he has changed people's lives outside of concerts. Because there is a man behind the tattoos and the troubled past who has built a reputation based on both success and service. Over the years, Jelly Roll has used his fame not for his own gain, but to bring attention to people who are ignored, in jail, addicted, or have been hurt. He hasn't just sung about getting better. He has been there. He has also reached back to help other people get out of the fire. One of the most important things he did was go back to the Nashville Juvenile Prison Center, where he had been held as a teen. He didn't walk in as a prisoner this time though. He came in as a teacher. He gave $250,000 to build a music studio inside the prison. This gave the young prisoners a way to express themselves, a voice, and hope that they could also change their lives. That's what he told CBS Mornings in 2023. "I wanted to give these kids hope. I'm grateful for music. It might also save theirs." That wasn't the end of his work. Jelly Roll has also been a strong supporter of mental health awareness, drug recovery, and changes to the way the criminal justice system works. He's given talks at treatment centers, helped non-profit re-entry programs, and used his social media following to raise money for families whose loved ones are addicted. At a time when a lot of famous people avoid talking about real-life problems, Jelly Roll does. Even his marriage to Bunny So has turned into a sign of love and healing. Together, they've made the podcast Dumb Blonde a place where people can talk freely about trauma, recovery, and redemption. It's not just fun to listen to, but it's also a safe place to process their feelings. Fans of Jelly Rolls aren't just followers. They've been through a lot. People who have never been to one of his events before say that they feel more like group therapy where strangers sing along with their own pain and healing. And that may be what made him so important. He's built a group. He gave people a voice who didn't have one before. He proved that your past doesn't decide what will happen in the future. He has shown us that forgiveness is messy, but it is possible. Now that he is going through one of the hardest times in his life, Jelly Roll's memory seems more important than ever. Because they have faith, not because they are afraid. Have faith that the man who got back up after falling can do it again. This time he did it for himself, not for fame or praise. The story of Jelly Roll isn't a fairy tale. It's not neat finished, or easy to guess. This song is a battle card ballad, which means it has lots of bad decisions, broken hearts, brave comebacks, and missing lines. But that's what makes it so strong, because Jelly Roll takes his whole story with him when he goes on stage, and when he's not in the spotlight, it's a warning that even our heroes get hurt. Our loudest sounds need time to rest every once in a while. And the person who gave us hope might need us more than ever right now. His music may have helped you feel better. His words may have helped you sleep, or his story may have shown you that healing is possible. Now is the time to show your support for him. Send him love and prayers as he gets better. And remember his story if you're going through your own tough time. You're not by yourself. You are important. Also, you can start over at any time. If you want to know when the next part comes out, like this video, subscribe, and hit the notification button.